All right. Truly, truly, truly. Hello out there. And today is what, October the
15th.
15th, 2021. And my name is Oliver Blue. And that beautiful lady to my right, her name is
Yolanda.
Yaulanda. And we're the OK Blues. And welcome to uh, tonight's version of Truly Live. And it has really been live. As you know, we're getting on a little late, but we were determined to overcome the challenges and hold to our commitment. So we are here tonight. Thank you so much for your patience. And if you are out there, um, because we're operating without any audio on this side, could you just put in the chats that you can hear us?
The comments up for me, please, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
So if you are out there, how about putting in the comments or in the chats that you can hear us? Because we are in a little modified state tonight. As you can see, we're not in our normal studio, but we're actually hanging out tonight in the grandson studio.
It's in the grandson's room.
Anytime you see the green walls, we're broadcasting from the grandson's
Playroom.
playroom. Yes. But welcome anyway. I'd like to welcome all of you tonight to this live broadcast. And we are broadcasting live on Facebook uh, as well as Twitter. And you will be able to catch the replays on Instagram and uh, YouTube. But thank you for being here tonight. And we'd like to say welcome to our
And what's the address for YouTube
our Instagram
and
address
Instagram?
is Truly OB LLC, and our um,
YouTube
YouTube
channel
channel
is
is Truly OB, and you can catch the replays on those two digital communities. But we're so happy to be here tonight, and Yaulanda and I are excited about the opportunity to be uh, your digital option for transformation. And this is our 11th episode, and we are getting a hang of this. Don't you think we're getting the hang of it?
sure.
We might need to practice when we have to pack and go because we left some essential equipment at home.
Oh, we
Oh,
did.
I
All right.
did.
No, 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 we did. Go ahead, throw me under the bus too. It's all right.
All right. So if you out there can hear us, let's see, we can hear ourselves here
No, we don't
too.
want to hear ourselves here.
Yeah, yeah, they can hear us. All right. So we know we can be heard. Well, thank you and welcome again to Truly Live, episode 11. If you're a first time viewer or if you are watching this replay and this is your first experience with us, Yaulanda and I are certified coaches, and we are the co-founder of Truly OB LLC, which is a personal development company. And our main service at this moment is our coaching practice, where we provide coaching services to individuals, groups, as well as organizations. And we will put something up on the screen later to where you can reach out to us. We're so happy that you have joined us tonight. And I tell you, it's we we got on the runway, and you invite me, dear. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Let's get this side.
I know it. I know it.
Okay.
Well, we got on the runway and we took off and
Yes,
we landed that plane.
we must add another title. He is pilot now.
Pilot Oliver, yeah. And we landed this plane here, and then it was a mad dash to get to the house and get unpacked and get the studio equipment set up, and then
Well, we didn't unpack everything. We just unpacked the studio equipment,
yeah, and
but it's okay.
we realized we left a few critical items.
Yeah,
So,
it's okay.
but thank you so much. We're here, and we're glad that you are here
And excited to be here.
and excited to be here. And tonight's going to be somewhat different, somewhat special because we're going to spend tonight as our Truly Life lesson, actually having a Truly Live review. We put out a lot of content in the last 10 weeks. We put out a lot of good content in the last 10 weeks, and it's a lot to absorb. And we just thought it'd be um, a good idea to just spend tonight in reviewing some of the highlights from those 10 episodes. There's a lot of deep information, good information that we shared, and we just had decided that we wanted to just kind of pull out some of the focal points and just kind of review them tonight.
So let's start tonight's program the way that we do each night, and that
Absolutely.
is to express what we are happy and grateful for. I'm going to give you the opportunity to go first and say what you're happy and grateful for.
Well, I am so happy and grateful that we are here with family, and the fact that we got here safe and sound. We got here safe and sound because it was really busy out there today in those streets and in the air, and we were able to get here without any challenges. So I'm happy and grateful for that.
All right.
What about you?
So I am happy and grateful for everyone that chooses to join with us and go on this journey with us as we all stay on our growing edge so that we can transform our lives and live our
Our best
best
life,
life.
yes.
And of course I'm excited because I got to play with the grandson a little while you were setting up. I was playing with the grandson. He's got a few new words.
Oh my
So,
goodness, yeah.
yeah.
I saw you pulled out a few of his new toys too.
Yes, yes. I brought a few things, so that he could have a new experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So I know uh, some of you out there in the audience know what it is to be grandparents, and we're still getting we're still getting used to the idea. I mean, it's still new to us, but it is so exciting every time we think about that next generation that will carry the name. It just thrills our heart. It's almost like it's a deeper. It's almost like it's a deeper responsibility than just parenting your own kids. I can't explain it. I don't
really,
know. Do you feel that way?
I actually feel a great sense of release because it's not all my responsibility. I am, my role is to encourage and inspire, and I'm the one that he's going to be having all kinds of fun with. And then when he decides that he wants to spread his wings, I'm going to make all the appropriate faces and make all the appropriate sounds and be totally astonished when he's saying things about his parents and all of that. I'll make all the faces. And then afterwards, I'm going to say, well, sweetheart, it's going to be in your best interest to do what your parents, have asked you to do because they're looking out for your good
Best interest,
and
yeah.
your best interest. So that's my role. So I really, it's not all me. I don't have to teach it
Yeah, I'm
all
not
this
saying it's
time.
all us, but it's just like you see your second generation that will be carrying forth the light from us, and you just have this even deeper sense of legacy. I guess you might
Really?
say, yeah, I do. I mean, it's
Well, I mean, and so this is just yet another one of those times that our perspective is very different.
well, that's
And
what
that's
well,
okay.
that's what makes us whole and complete. That's what makes us whole and complete. Wow. Well, anyway, so tonight we'll move to our next segment. We always like to set the mood, as I said in the past.
Can I just ask you a quick
Sure.
question? Is this where this is supposed to be?
Yes,
Okay. All right.
yes.
Just wanted to check.
And we always like to set the move, set the vibration for which these broadcasts uh, are shared in. We want to make sure that there is nothing that blocks our message, nothing inside of us, nothing that is disturbing to you, but that we have a clear path of communication and an environment whereby the listening ear is open and the listening heart is open. And so we have found in our own experience and through our study of transformation that the best way to set an environment or set an intention is through gratitude. And gratitude simply means that we are thankful for everything, the good, the bad, and the indifference. We're thankful for it all because all of it is a part of the human experience. It's all part of what we call life, which is one of the most amazing experience that I've ever had. It is the most amazing experience that I've ever had to be aware, to be conscious, and I'm just thankful for
All right.
it. And so, um,
Okay.
all right.
Oh,
So that's why we
okay.
do. That's why we do the gratitude. And so, if you out there, if you're grateful and thankful for something, just share it with your own heart.
Yes.
Share it with someone in your presence because it is by far the most effective way to set a loving environment
Yes.
is through gratitude.
And it's certainly one of the fastest ways to change the energy.
Change the energy.
Yes.
That is true. Change your thoughts.
Yes.
So, moving on to our next segment, we're going to, we always like to also have time where we look out into the universe in the past and find some wisdom statement or quote that we like to share before we get into our life lesson. And tonight we actually we're going to share two quotes. They're from the same person, but one we shared before and the other one we just added. And these quotes are coming from none other than Henry David Thoreau. And so, Yolanda, would you like to share the first one with us?
Sure. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. That's one of Henry David Thoreau's quotes.
Wow. And that quote is so meaningful because,
Well, um, discussing why it was that he did the experiment that he did
yes, and
with his life.
with his life.
Yeah.
And all of us have the opportunity to experiment with the life that we have to make
Mm-hmm.
sure, like David did, to make sure that we live deliberately and to front only the essential facts of life. He wanted to just deal with what is real, what is true, what is worthy of his attention, and also um, he did not want to come to the end of his life and discover that he had not lived. And
Yes.
I think that's all of our desires. We want to come to the end of our life uh, having peace with ourselves, knowing um, that we responded to life in a way that was beneficial to everyone.
Yes.
Everyone. And then the next quote is also by Henry David Thoreau, and Yolanda's going to read that for us.
Okay. He said, I learned this at least by my experiment, that if one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. He will put some things behind, will pass an invisible boundary. New, universal, and more liberal laws will begin to establish themselves around and within him. or the old laws may be expanded and interpreted in his favor in a more liberal sense, and he will live with the license of a higher order of beings.
Wow. And that quote came out of Henry David Thoreau's book called Walden,
Yes.
and that's on pages 323 and 324. And that particular quote, it would take a lifetime to really dissect all of the life codes that's included in that quote. And there is a formula within that quote that he discovered by going into the woods and um, confronting only the essential things of life. He came to the conclusion that if any of us would move in the direction of our heart, in the direction of our dream or our vision, that we would eventually be met with success.
Yes.
It's inevitable. Uh, but first of all, as we have spoken about in previous episodes, there has to be a vision or a dream to move in the direction of. So it has to be created. And then, secondly, you have to move in that direction. And so, love this quote. We're going to be doing so much more in depth study and pulling out more principles and concept in some of our future episodes. So, thank you tonight. And that is our segment on
That's our
inspiration.
inspiration segment.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
Oh,
So,
oh, and look at the way she came out here.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But
Okay.
anyway, first of all, we'd like to welcome Carol and Bob. Oh,
So
hell, it's for
it's
Bob. Yeah,
Bob is
Bob is
with
with us
us.
tonight.
Hello,
Hey, Bob, we
Bob.
see you out there. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for being with
Thank you for
us.
being with us and being in the chat.
Yes.
And so tonight we're going to, um, wow,
Ricky Chavis is with us. Oh,
yes,
oh, and then my niece
Linnea.
Linnea is watching.
Right.
Hi,
Hi,
sweetheart.
Linnea,
Love
and
you
hi, Ricky. Thank
dearly.
you guys for tuning in with us tonight. And we are moving into our,
I snuck out on Linnea.
oh, you certainly
She
did.
thought I was still there.
But we're moving into our truly life lesson for
Yes.
tonight. And like we said earlier, tonight's a little different because we're not going to be concentrating on one subject, but we're actually going to do a quick review of all of the 10 subjects that we covered in our first 10 episodes. So tonight is a review. So if you're here for the first time, that's great. If you're listening to this replay for the first time, that is great. You picked a good one because we're actually going to touch all of the uh, different subjects that we covered in the past.
And give you guys the opportunity to ask questions, because we went through the experiment last week on the last episode of writing down a vision
Yes.
for our life. And so if you guys have any questions about that, then we want to make certain that we give you the opportunity to ask those questions
Yes.
during this review.
Yes. We love interaction. We promote it. We want our show to be a two-way conversation as much as it can be. So please utilize the chat or the comment field, and we'll respond to you. So we love the interaction. That's what makes the show live. All right. So in week one, episode one, our subject was awareness. And the reason we started with the subject of awareness is because we believe that awareness is everything, and it's the foundation for all our experiences.
Right.
And that without it, we can't have any experience.
Well, we discussed during that first episode and subsequent episodes as well, is that we do not live beyond our awareness.
It's not possible.
No. So if our experiences are limited, then that means that that's the awareness that we have, and if we would want to have a different experience, then we need to expand.
We would have to expand
Yes.
our awareness. And I have a teacher that I listen to a lot, and he put awareness in these terms, and I'm just gonna read it here, and I think it's self-explanatory. But he says the first thing that I can say about myself with absolute certainty is simply I am. If I ask you to tell me in the simplest terms something that you're sure about yourself, your response will be, well, your first word would be I am. And
Well,
so
generally, if you ask someone, who are you?
and they would say I
I
am.
am.
And the reason they say I am is because that is what they're absolutely sure of, that they are and that they exist, that I am. I may not know what I am, but I know that I am. And what I am may be in doubt. What you are may be in doubt, or what I am may be in doubt. But the fact that I am is not in doubt, that I exist, that I'm aware, that I'm conscious. That is what we're absolutely certain about. Every being, even the animal community, is aware that they are, but that there's a consciousness, that there's an awareness. And that is the single reality of life, is that it is aware and that it is conscious. And we are part of that life, that um, that life that is aware and that is conscious. This I am that we're talking about is in the transformation community is called awareness of consciousness. And awareness is our essential nature.
Mhm.
It is the very core of who we are, that we have awareness, that we have consciousness. And every experience that we have, whether it be sitting here tonight, the experience that we're having here, sitting here tonight with us, sharing you transformational principles, you're listening and engaging with us. We're doing this through the reality of awareness and consciousness, because without it, there is no way to communicate it and there's no way to receive it. And finally, awareness is self-evident. It is quite evident to me that I exist. It is quite evident to me that I'm conscious and that I am aware. And so that's what we shared in week 1.
Okay.
And we started with awareness because we believe that everything starts with awareness.
Yes,
And then we moved into week 2. And week 2, ooh, that was a special week for us.
it was.
Yeah. Our subject was love and relationship. And the reason we chose that subject for that week is because we were celebrating 31 years of marriage and friendship and relationship. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so we broadcast from this little cozy cabin, and we had some
Beautiful
friends with us,
cabin
beautiful
up
cabin
in the
with some friends up in
mountains,
the mountains.
the North Carolina mountains.
Yes, and we had just a wonderful time.
It was a
It was
glorious time.
special, and you really enjoyed yourself. You
I
was on a
did.
high.
I did. I had
Yeah,
a wonderful time.
yeah. We planned it, and it was even more beautiful than our plans. And our friends helped to make that possible too. Yes,
Yes. Two of my best friends
yeah.
were there.
So we was there that night, and we talked
So
about
I'm gonna give a shout out to my best friends,
yes.
Pearl, precious Pearl, and my dear sister in love, who's just like a sister to me, Sheila. Love you guys dearly, and
Well, if you
and thank you guys again.
well, if you do that, I have to shout out to my brother Cecil.
You do, because that's Sheila's husband. So it does not work out neat that your
Yes,
brother
yes, and
um,
my dear friend Sherwood.
and your dear friend Sherwood.
Yeah, we can't leave the
So
boys out.
so that no, the guys
Yeah,
the guys were there,
we
and
love deep. We love deeply too.
yes, the guys loved us deeply. So it
Yes,
was one. I
a-
mean, it was wonderful.
absolutely,
It was
absolutely.
just a love fest all the
It
way
was a
around. We
love
had a
fest
glorious time.
all the way around. And actually, we're planning to go back next year, same time,
Okay,
same station.
okay, okay.
Yeah. But anyway,
We'll stay longer next time.
on the subject of love, what we said, and I'm just going to share with you a few of the highlights. We said that love is oneness. Love is oneness, and that oneness is shared interest. and that shared interest is the foundation of all relationships. And we said that the deepest awareness of love is the idea of oneness. There is only one source, one life that we all share. What we choose to call it isn't as important as the knowing of that one source. And that one source is our own reality. So, to sum that whole subject up about love and relationships, it is our experience that love is not something that you can define, but it's something that you can experience. And as human beings, we all long for the love experience. Would you agree?
Yes.
And that love experience sometimes is that we seek it outside of ourselves. And oh, Sheila's on. Whoa, we just spoke her up. Hi,
Love
Sheila.
love you
All
deeply.
right.
So glad that you're back
Yeah,
safely.
yeah. But in our work, what we see in our work in coaching and working with people, that 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 love thing is what everyone desire.
Yes.
It is a human desire of all of us, and we've come to understand that that love that we're seeking for is not something that is outside of us,
Mhm.
but we actually it is who we are. It's part of our very nature.
Hi, Hazel. Thank you for joining us as well.
Oh, Miss Boatwright's on tonight. Hey, Hazel. And so once we understand that love is oneness, meaning that we all share the one source of life. People call it many different things: God, Creator,
Father,
Father,
um, Supreme
Supreme
Being.
Being, higher power,
Some people call it awareness.
awareness. What we call it, which is very limited anyway, because words are twice or even more removed from reality. Um, it's not as important as the reality that we come to understand that we all are one and we all share that oneness with life and with the source of life.
Yes.
And when we bring that understanding and build upon that as we share with others, we come to understand that our relationships can be strong and long, having that understanding of what true love is. Yeah. So we're going to move on to episode 3. If we're going to get through all 10 of these,
I know.
what about time looks like? We're good.
It's there.
Oh, okay. And we
Mhm.
got on at what time?
About 7:15,
About
7:16.
7:16. Okay, then we moved to week 3, and week 3 subject had to do with. You want to read that?
We were developing a vision by revisiting our dreams.
Yes,
So we talked about vision,
we talked about vision, and
and we did it in the simplest terms for our discussion. We said that vision is just simply having clarity concerning, your purpose, your desires,
yes,
and that you could use that clarity to guide you to guide as a guide in your blueprint for your life.
absolutely, absolutely. And we talked about uh, vision or dreams as being synonymous. Somebody say, I have
Vision,
dreams, or
dreams,
I have a vision, I have a
desires.
desire. We
Yeah.
we put those all in the same bucket.
Yes.
And but what we're talking about is what's in your heart, the thing that's in our heart that we so desire. And you remember we showed the video on episode 3.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. We got in trouble for that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
But in that video, it showed.
Didn't think about it. We had permission to show it on certain platforms, and
Right.
there was one platform that we did not and didn't even think about
No,
that.
didn't
So
even
it
think
was
about it.
it was certainly an unintentional
Yeah,
faux pas.
yeah. But in that video, we saw where the father um, and the son was into acting, and the son had a vision of becoming a professional basketball player.
He said, I'm going
He said,
pro.
"I'm going
He said,
pro,
Dad,
Dad.
I'm
I'm
going
going
pro.
pro." And he
Yeah.
was all excited. He was out shooting the hoops, and Dad was watching him.
And sure enough, that ball fell from a good little
Yes,
distance. So
yes.
he had skill.
And his dad pulled him to the side and said, "Hey, son, at best you're going to be average. I was average, so you'll probably be average at basketball. So don't spend a whole lot of time with this." And he basically he basically
Poured cold
poured
water
cold water
on his dream.
on his dream, and that happens in life. And there are many, many examples of that. I mean, a lot of us as kids growing up, we had this innocent way of being, and we had dreams and desires to do certain things and be certain things, and we just allowed our innocence and our imagination to be unedited. And then, lo and behold, whether it's a parent or a teacher or a friend or a neighbor, uh, will eventually cause us to put our dreams on the back burner because maybe of what they say, or how we're treated, or how we're viewed,
And we're
and
discouraged
we get
from
discouraged from pursuing our
yeah,
dreams.
that's right. Oh,
Yeah,
and from
yeah,
even participating in the creative process of imagining.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even as adults, as we work with a lot of people in our practice, they don't think that they can have the desires of their heart.
Yeah.
But we are here to say that you can have the desires of your heart. And so, revisiting your dreams is a way of getting more clarity on the life that you would love.
We also discussed the power of quality questions,
Right.
and we talked about how the quality of our questions will determine the quality of our life. And so we talked about one very important question, which is the one that says, "What would I love?"
What would you love? What would you love? Ask yourself that. What would I love? And we're not going to get into a lot of details on where you take the response to that question, but just stay tuned with us.
Well,
And
we spent
we
a bit of
in
a
nine
time
in
then.
week 9, 10, I think
Yeah.
we did talking about the what question.
Yes.
But when we get in harmony with our dreams and our visions, life becomes more easier, and we become more happier.
Yeah. We also talked about how our longings and our discontents, we have a tendency to think that if we have discontent, that that's not a good thing, but life is actually speaking to us through our longings and through our discontents. So we can use that as feedback to guide us in the direction of,
About dreams,
that's
yes.
right,
And then moving to week 4, episode 4, our subject for that week was life speaks through
the
longings and
longings and
discontent.
discontents.
So
Yeah.
we kind of followed up on that.
Yeah. We went into more detail.
Yes. And that is such an important uh, um, awareness to have, that the way that life really speaks to us, because life is all about our growth and our expansion and our full expression.
Mhm.
And so when we're not happy, when we're not playing full out, when we're not using our gifts and talents, um, we life will speak to us through our longings, the things that we long for,
Things that we want more
the
of,
things that we would want more of in our life. And it also speaks to us through our discontents,
the things that we want less
the
of.
things we want less of in our
Yes.
life.
And that's because it is in our nature to have this, to express this freer, fuller, greater, more, more.
Yes.
It's growth is what it is.
Yes.
And so because of that, um, there's always this, and it's called an upward spiral,
Yes.
where we should be, well, we're going to be at our happiest when we are growing and expanding and expressing.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And I have a mother that will be 89 years old here in about a week. And she is the epitome of this principle, because at 89, my mom is functioning fully. All of her capacities are still being totally utilized. But more importantly, she's growing every day. She's a huge, huge reader, and she's not just a reader, but she applies that which is in her best interest in her life. And because she's continuing to do that, it is showing up in every area of her life.
Every area. So we have to give a shout out to her.
So yes,
Shout out to Grandma Blue, who
yes,
we know is on. She is a faithful
yes, viewer,
viewer and participates. She takes copious notes,
yes,
and we love her dearly, and we are so excited because she does. She
yes,
everything that we're reading, she reads.
yes,
Yeah,
and
love it,
she's an amazing woman.
love it.
I mean, at 86, she was taking computer classes 2 days a week
Yeah,
at that
before
age.
COVID. Yeah.
Yes, before COVID. And so our longings and our discontents are just growth signals. And when life can't, and when we don't listen to our longings and discontents, when we push them down
Mm-hmm.
and don't pay attention to them because we don't understand that that's feedback, that's healthy feedback. That if when life can't get through us through our longings and discontent, it will show up as trauma, drama, addictive behavior, sickness, and even mental suffering. Because the nature of life itself is all about growth and expansion.
Yes.
All about growth and expansion.
All right, let's move to the next
So
one.
we're going to move to
Yeah.
episode 5. We're almost halfway there.
Uh-oh.
And in week 5, our subject was in week 5 our subject was creating. The idea of creating, is it a choice? And what we said during that episode was that by nature we are creative beings.
Yes.
By our very nature, we are born to create.
Yes.
And that we're of one of the only species on the planet that have to create its own habitat in order to sustain life. Um, we wouldn't do very well. We wouldn't do very good if we were born as humans and just left in the woods. We wouldn't survive. Our species would be extinct, unlike certain animals, certain all the other species that are born out in the wilds, in the water. That's their natural habitat, and they remain there. However, for the human being has to provide um, a an environment of safety, from the elements, because we're kind of fragile beings. We don't have gills, so we can't, live under the water because of um, gravity. I mean, we can't just go out into space and hang out. And so, given that, we have to be creative. We have to create
Well,
our comfort
well,
and a place of survival.
the other thing that we discussed is that we um we don't really get to choose not to create,
Right.
because if we're thinking, we are creating.
If we're thinking, we're creating.
And we even took it further and we said that um, our current life is a direct reflection of our thinking, because it is a direct reflection of the decisions that we've made.
Yes, absolutely. And if we live, and we're all going to, uh, we send those vibrations out.
Sheila said, every time we speak, we create. Our thoughts create.
Oh,
Exactly.
absolutely.
That is
We are
exactly
we
what
are
happens.
we are a creative energy.
Yes.
And if you live another 365 days, you're going to create, and you're going to have results from what you create.
Mhm.
And we also said in that section that everything is created twice. The creative process is a twofold process: first in thought, then in form.
That's right.
And that whatever we create in form we will communicate to others.
Yes.
We cannot help but to communicate to
And
others.
that's I mean, if we give any thought to it, we will see that what has happened is first we think something, and then after we have thought it to the point that we begin to speak it.
Absolutely.
But even sometimes before we speak it, we begin to see it.
We begin to see it through.
We
That's right.
speak it, and then the next thing you know, this is why we would want to this is why we could learn we could learn the skill of harnessing our thoughts, so that we now use our thoughts in
In service
service
for the thing that
to
we
the life
desire.
that we love and desire, as opposed to feeding our energy into that which we don't even want.
Absolutely. And it's because of, again, it goes back to awareness. If you're not aware of the principle, if you're not aware of how the human um, psyche works, then we'll have a tendency to use it against ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so, understanding that we're a creative being is so important. And we'll be talking more in depth about our creative ability.
All right.
Yes. And the use of our imagination in that process. And then we moved on to week 6. And oh my God, one of our favorite subjects. Week 6 episode was the real you. Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah. This is our favorite subject, even to the point that we, the real you is just part of our whole entire purpose of being uh, coaches and having a desire to help people to live their best life and
Mm-hmm.
to come into an understanding of who they really are. And so when we talked about the real you, anytime you hear that phrase, the real you, there's an implication that there's a you that's not real. And that's true. And that is really true. Or a you that's not eternal, or a you that's not um there's a you that we create as our own self. And then there's the
Well,
essence of who we are.
it's the conditioned
Yes.
you,
The
because
condition you.
I mean, we've heard people say, might have even said it ourselves, well, this is just who I am, this is who I am. And I have often wondered, when people say that, is that really who you are, or is that who you've been conditioned
To
to
be.
be?
That's right.
That's who
Absolutely.
you've been told, and it's been repeated over and over, and you've now accepted that
Yeah.
as who you are. But is that who you really are?
That's right. That's right. Who we think we are based on our conditionings
Yes.
and what we've been taught and what we have embraced
Yes.
and what we have attached ourselves to. That's all temporal. It's all temporary. It will eventually come to a, a screeching halt. Sorry about that. That will eventually come to a halt. That has a timeline. That has a beginning and an end. But when we talk about the real you, we're talking about that essence of who we are as spirit, as awareness,
Yes.
as consciousness, that which has always been
And
and
always
that
will.
which will always be.
Yes.
And that's why in week 1 we said and um, talked about that awareness and consciousness is what we all share, and that's what makes us one. That's what makes us the same, in the sense that we all share that same source of
Yes.
awareness and consciousness. That's what makes us like. There's a story in the New Testament that says, in the Old Testament, the first chapter, it says we were made in the image and likeness of our Creator. That's what it's talking about. All of us possess uh, that source of spirit and awareness and consciousness. That's what makes us like our Creator. And so we also concluded that when you ask the question, who is the real you? Our response to that is the real you is love.
Yes.
Um, the real you, like love, can only be experienced and not defined. And we put up um, a list of characteristics that can describe us as infinite beings, but not necessarily totally define us, but just characteristics, because we can't be ultimately defined because we're, as infinite beings, we're undefinable, I guess you might say. And words are very limited. And so some of the terms we use to express our characteristics as a real you were love,
Oneness,
pure spirit,
awareness,
infinite,
eternal or timeless,
innocence,
holiness or wholeness,
peace,
joy,
in unalterable or changeless,
birthless, deathless,
fearless,
guiltless.
guiltless. And so
Yeah.
those are just some characteristics of what we would describe as the real you.
Yes.
And that was in episode 6. And then in episode 7, we went on to unpack the unpack the idea of disciplining the mind
Training the mind.
and training the
Yes.
mind. And
Yes.
this is a huge subject for Yolanda and I, because we know from our own life, from our own life experiences, and also from our own um, training in the field of transformation and in the community of transformation.
And
How,
even in the scriptures,
and even from
it
scripture,
talks about the untrained mind can accomplish nothing.
yes. And we said that the mind is that which connects us to spirit.
Mhm.
So it's not that we are a mind, it's that we all have access to mind, which is not something inside of our head. Mind is 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 something beyond physical. Mind is not a physical. It's not like the brain. It's not an organ, but it is a universal. It's a universal element that we all have access to in order to connect with spirit.
Mhm.
And so it appears uh, that our minds are split. That there's a part of us that is for our good. There's a part of us that's for our expansion and happiness. And then it seemed like the mind sometimes act as it's acting against us with certain ways that it thinks it, with contractions and certain elements of fear. It's almost like the mind works against us. So it's almost like the mind is split. There's a good part of the mind, a bad part of the mind.
But that is not
But that is not the case.
the way that it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what we did conclude in that episode was that it is our responsibility to renew our mind
Yes, to
to the truth
that's right.
and to discipline the mind. It's like the way I see it is like our grandson. He's not quite 2, and but if he's just left to himself, um, he's gonna explore life.
He's going to explore.
But because he's not aware of certain dangers, he could put himself in a hurtful situation. So it's up to us as adults to and stewards to train and to guard, right,
That's right.
and to train the child. So likewise, it's our responsibility to train or to renew our minds to that which is true. And it's not just going to happen. It takes work to renew the mind. And
And when we train our mind in that which is true, then our mind will serve our
it
purpose,
operates in the service,
our expansion, our happiness.
right?
It will work in service of our dreams. But when we just let it, just let it do whatever it wants to do, then we can find ourselves in a whole heap of
A
trouble.
whole heap of trouble. And the mind was never designed to lead us.
That's right.
We're to be led by our hearts and our spirit. The mind is a great servant. The mind is a great servant and it's here to serve us. But in order to serve us, it needs to be disciplined. It needs to be trained.
We talked about the three disciplines of the mind.
Yeah, we said that the 3 disciplines of the mind. One had to do with the power of decision, being proactive to make right decisions.
And then we've already mentioned the power of the
The
question,
power of the question.
and we of course, discuss the one that we think is very, very beneficial, which is the what would I love? That can just, that starts a lot of things and can actually
Powerful
settle a
question.
lot of things. And then the last one is
The power of
of
alignment.
alignment.
Because once we get our mind in alignment with that which we desire and in the service for that which we would desire, it's happy time. It's
It
party
is.
time. Absolutely.
All right, we got three more.
We got three more, so we got to
Yeah,
move along. We good
yeah.
on
So
time?
no, we. That's why we got to move on here.
Episode 8 had to do with the subject of openness or
Being
being
open.
open.
Yeah, that was a
We
good one
love that
too.
week. And we said, we used a couple of quotes I like to reshare again. It's so good. It said, when we are willing to see there is a teacher on every corner, life is our teacher. And we also,
That quote was by Mary
and
Linehan.
that quote was by Mary Linehan.
Yeah.
When we're willing to see, when we're willing to be open, when we're willing to empty ourselves of all of our experiences and uh, and entertain new possibilities, then we find that life will teach us on every corner
Yes. Yes.
and in every moment.
Yes.
To be open is to be willing to lay aside everything that we have known and and
And
have
experience.
experienced, and kind of just lay it on the altar to examine whether what we've learned or what we experience uh, is it in service of our best interest? And if it's not, then have to be willing to not engage with it anymore. And I think in that episode you and I talked about, we got to a point in our life where we were willing to say we want to lay everything out because we came to a point that we realized that certain things were not serving our better interest.
That's right.
And so we were willing to lay it all out and be open and welcome those things in our life, uh, as far as information, knowledge, understanding that would cause us to grow and to live our best life.
Yes. Openness, just said, was an attitude or a state of mind in which we welcome or allow everything.
Yes, and we finished that segment by saying that there's a process of openness that you can go through. Um, and it says, in quietness we pause. So we
Yes.
take a pause from our daily uh, comings and goings. We pause our life
And more importantly, we take a pause with all the chatter that's
with the
going on
chatter
in our
that's going on in our
heads,
head.
and we can we pause in
We
quietness.
pause in quietness, and in quietness we consider new possibilities.
Yes. And then we ask those quality
We
questions.
ask those quality questions like, is this benefiting me?
Well, first we start with what would I love?
What would I love? Is this benefiting me? Is this serving me my best interest? And then we listen and contemplate from the questions that we ask. We listen, we sit still in stillness and quietness to listen and contemplate what we're hearing, what's coming from the heart.
Because we each have an inner teacher.
Absolutely.
That inner teacher is there, and it can lead and guide us if we will allow it to do that.
Absolutely.
And then we take inspired action from what we hear that inner teacher speak to us.
Absolutely. So that's the process that we shared in week 8 on openness.
All right, now
And we're moving. Oh,
to 9 and 10. We've got to do this
yes.
quickly because our time is fast approaching here.
Okay. So week 9 and 10 was really the same subject, the subject of blueprinting, and we talked about.
Well, that's when we put it all together.
That's when we kind of put all of that previous 8 weeks together into blueprinting, because you could take that knowledge now and say the whole process of transforming your life and getting different results. And what we said about transformation, that basically transformation means going beyond where you currently are, going beyond your current results, going beyond your current experiences, and creating in different experiencing and different results.
Yes.
That is the whole process of transformation, moving from one place to another.
Because we are noticing what we're noticing. And we said that everything that we notice can be great feedback. So we don't necessarily have to assign stuff as good or bad. It can all be great feedback for
All be
us.
great feedback. And again, we talked about feedback coming from the greatest feedback comes from our longings, the things that we want more of in our life, and our discontent, the things that we want less of. That is life speaking to us. And if we will accept that feedback, it is great. It's a great help, and it will serve us.
And then we spent some time thinking briefly about what we would love to be, to do, create, to express. Um, and we took the time to write it down as though there were no limitations
Yeah,
whatsoever.
we went through that exercise
Yes,
last
we
week,
did.
and hopefully you still expanding on that. And we also said that to apply our very best thinking in service of the life that we desire. When you get into that creative mode of asking the quality question, what would I love? And then sharing that um, those those answers, those responses on putting it to pen and paper, you are in a creative mode.
Yes.
And and so now you got that mind, that disciplined mind working in service for the thing that you desire.
Yes, and you understand the fact that our current life is a result of our decisions. So now, we talked about the law of the farm and the law of the mind. The law of the farm is that every seed produces after its own kind,
And
and
likewise,
likewise, the law of the mind is every thought reproduces after its own kind as well.
absolutely.
So we would want to make certain that we're. This was one of the reasons that we want to make certain that we get that mind trained and disciplined.
Yes. Yes.
And then we said not to be alarmed if we've made some decisions that we don't like, because if we made those decisions, which means we decided, then we can decide again. If we made a choice that it doesn't work out the way that we want, we can choose again.
That's the good news.
That's the good
Is that we
news.
can choose again, regardless of where we find ourselves in life. We can start over,
We
and
can
it's
start
never too
over.
late.
Never too late.
It's never too late.
All right.
All right, we got through them, didn't we?
So we're going to do our blessing. Our close is a blessing that we do, which is a prayer that we do. I do this prayer daily for everyone that is near and dear to my heart, and I expand that out. And by the time it's all over with, I've actually done this blessing for, said this blessing for everyone that is on the planet. Brenda, thank you so much.
Well, hello there, Brenda. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope that you have gathered something from this presentation.
She said that life seems so challenging, and then what we would invite you to do is to look at what you are deeming as challenging, and ask yourself why. Why is it a challenge? Because is it showing you what you want to have more of in your life, or showing you what you want to have less of in your life? If that's the case, then it is giving you good feedback about next steps that you should be taking, because you should always be moving in the direction of that which you're going to absolutely love.
Absolutely. But thank you for being here with us
Yes,
tonight,
Brenda.
Brenda, and continue to come back to our show.
Yes.
We believe that our future episodes will be helpful
Yes.
in giving you more clarity along those lines.
So now we bless all of you. Thank you so much for joining us, and we bless you and those that you hold near and dear in your heart. May you be truly happy.
May you live in peace.
May you live in love.
May you know the power of forgiveness.
May you know that may you live in the recognition that your life has good meaning and deep purpose. That's the Dalai Lama's loving kindness meditation. And we always like to add, may you live in the awareness of who you truly are in God.
All right.
We extend this blessing to every being that's on the on the face of the planet.
All right. Well, we've come to the end of episode 11. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we got here and we got through it.
Well, we didn't just get through it. This is good news.
It's a good, very
We
good
brought
news.
good news. We
It's
brought
very good news. So until next
Friday.
Friday at 7 o'clock. My name is Oliver, and
I-
this is,
I'm Yolanda,
and
and
we're
we
the
are the OK
OK Blues.
Blues.
Bye bye until next time.